This is just a little idea I had. I haven't really done anything with it. Don't know that I will. Actually, I was worried about my son. Uh, Nothing more I can do tonight. Recorded earlier with George today. That went pretty well. It was keyboard day. I put down keyboard parts to shoot about a half dozen songs, I guess, that needed keyboard parts. Mostly organ. I like to get as close to that B3 with a Leslie sound as I can get. Used to have a Hammond with a Leslie. Talk about a pain in the butt. First off, the Hammond wasn't made for it wasn't a Portabee. It was actually an M3, which I think was maybe more difficult than a B3 hauling around. But it had a bunch of drawbars and it'd get the sound, and I liked it. And ran it. It came. I got it with a Leslie from a studio that was shutting down in Statesboro, Georgia, right after I got back from the Army. I had that, and I played keyboards a while then. Fender Rhodes, but bass kept calling me back, and actually a different band. I ended up eventually selling it. But that Leslie, you talk about that. I don't know if you know anything about Leslie and how a tone cabinet works. It is wonderful when you got them set and you're not moving them, and and you got them adjusted. And even then, you're going to have to adjust them from time to time. But you start moving that stuff around, and you've got to adjust it constantly. And it's got a little sewing machine motor in the bottom, turning this little round. Shoot, what would you call that? That speaker pops up, 15-inch speakers going up. Yeah, it was 15, and round, and it's got one hole cut in it, one big side cut in it, and it's twirling around real fast, and then at the top, it's got a horn coming out, and it's twirling around real fast, and so it gets that, and then and it's got a little sewing machine motor that's just flat out for that, and it's got a sewing machine motor turning that. And then you'll have a switch over here on your organ. Switch it, and when you do, um, the motor doesn't slow down, either one of them, but they're set up with a brake, and they've got this piece of rubber around that's going round and round and round and round. It's like a wheel on the top of the sewing machine motor coming out about like so. It's good thick rubber around the end, and it's just comes over and hits it. And anyway, it just breaks it. So if it's too tight, then it stops it entirely. If it's not tight enough, then it doesn't slow down. But if you get it just right, you get that really cool sound where it wow 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 wow, and then you hit it again and let it go, and it backs off and it starts up and it goes wow 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 wow, and it really it's a great effect. But I learned way back in the 80s. I got rid of the Leslie and got a Boss chorus unit that had 2-speed chorus and was just a big foot switch. And so I came off that and went into that, and then through a Morley volume pedal, and then into a little PA thing. And I had my piano in one channel, my organ in the other, and that went back to a rig. Had a little Fender Bassman blonde 212. I got two SROs and got the recon lady to recon those speakers, and I had a 215 Bassman cabinet and got the recon lady to recon those. I think those were Altays. And then I had an Ampeg cabinet for when I played bass. Old Ampeg, big, heavy duty, 215 ported in the front. I believe I had the JBLs in that, but everything got reconed, heavy duty, and got a great sound. I played half the night on keyboards and half the night on bass. That was a fond memory for that band. That was a great band, the Boys. Yeah, it was a great band. We were writing. Dave and I, well, Glenn wrote a couple. Glenn wrote one that was just, I mean, a home run. He didn't write a lot of songs, but he wrote 2 songs for us. And one was a good song, and the other was a flat out home run. I mean, if we'd known how to get a record contract, I guess we'd have made some money with that song. Gonna Make Her Mine. God, it was a great song. It still is. I should play that song. It's nice thinking about stuff like that. Dave and I wrote a lot of stuff, and well, we got a lot of compliments on it. So, but after 4 years, things just kind of, needed to get on with life. We were touring all the time. We had got to the point we were playing the big rooms, and we had the big PA that we had to drag around, because you had to have in those days you had to have this huge PA to play the big rooms. So we did. Triumph PA for the instruments and lights, and one guy to run it. And then we had just my 2 clips, La Scalas, for any of you who know much about the old speakers. I had found 2 clips La Scalas in 2 different places right about the same time when we started the band. And that's what we put the vocals through. And I had a Kelsey board for the vocals. So we had a Tascam board for the instruments and a Kelsey board for the vocals. And we had a Triumph system for the instruments. It had 2 double reflex 18 cabinets, 18-inch speakers. And then we had 2 15 front-loaded for the mid-range, and a 15 voice of the theater for the mid-range. And this was all, it was Triumph, so we had an electronic crossover. We had graphics on it. And then we had a horn for the high end on both sides. Let's see, I think we had Crown. I think we had Crown amps for the bottom and Crown amps for the mids. And I can't remember, we had, it was a much smaller amp, of course, for the horns. And then I had one of those PV stereo power amps. I think it was a 400. And it was perfect with that, with those clips, La Scalas. We got more compliments on that PA, but particularly the voice PA, because we featured a lot of vocals. Dave and I sang together all the time, and Glenn sang with us quite a bit. So we were always having duets, or we were having a duet counterpart to the. We'd write all kind of parts for just about everything we did. We really weren't a cover band. The stuff that we played that was cover, we did our own arrangement with it. But that was a great band. That would have been a fun band to have gotten a recording contract with, and act and for real toured. And well, you know, we toured the big rooms. We played 5 and 6 nights a week, week in, week out. Every now and then we'd have a week fall out from under us, and there was a place in Metro Atlanta, Jeffries, that would, if we had an off week, all I had to do is give him a call, and he'd bring us in for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, for 4 nights. It was a smaller room, not a real small room, but a smaller room. But we'd go in there, and all we'd put out was the clips. We wouldn't put the big PA in there. It wasn't necessary. But everybody knew us around there, and so if we came in, the place would pack out really well. So Jeffrey liked that. So I kind of felt for some of the bands sometimes, because Jeffrey would bump them back. He'd bump everybody back a week if he had somebody booked. If we had a week fall out. But to get back in town, I would generally book that room every couple of months to come in, so we could have a week back in town. Oh well, let me see if I can remember this. I was feeling kind of melancholy, kind of worried about my son, Mac. We'll see how things look tomorrow and see what I can do to help him. I don't know. Life is, life is such a miracle to start with. Just go out and enjoy life. There's nothing in particular you have to do with life to have a meaningful, enjoyable life. Just go do something with your life that means something to yourself and helps others. And, if you're willing to study, there is so much to learn in this universe. And what I've found, and as you can tell, I've got a few years on me now. Can you believe that? I've got a few years on me. And what I've found, I'm very curious, so I've studied a lot in life, pursued a lot of different subjects, just because I was really curious. But the more I pursued, the more I found out how much I don't know, and how much I didn't know that I don't know. There's an amazing amount of knowledge to be had that you have no idea that you don't know anything about it until you really start studying, particularly in physics. Oh, that's an amazing subject. There's a lot to learn in history, a lot to learn in literature, mathematics, and a lot to learn in art, I'm sure, though I don't know anything about it. Yeah, I don't know much about art, but I know music. It never gets boring. Learn something all the time. Learning's fun. Learning is discovery. So why not enjoy that? Why let anything else get in the way of that? Why let a guy like Donald Trump ruin things for you? Just because he has no curiosity doesn't mean that curiosity is not a good thing. I mean, if you like driving cars, if you like having a civilization, if you like roads, if you like sewage, running water, microwave ovens, means of cooking, grocery stores so that you don't have to go out and work your ass off every day in a field like my father did, Grew up on a small farm. He had to work every day in the farm. You know, they couldn't even dream about playing football in the fall. It's harvest. They couldn't dream about playing baseball. My God, baseball was everything for me. But baseball in the spring, no, you're planting. And then you're working all summer in the field every day. But they could play basketball. And so, even though he was only 5'6", he played basketball. And I'm told by his brothers and sisters that he was pretty damn good. My father, he was something. And so was my mother. I was very lucky, very, very lucky. But there's enjoyment everywhere, and there's reward everywhere. Just love life. You don't need alcohol and you don't need drugs. You don't need alcohol and you don't need drugs. You don't need alcohol and you don't need drugs. Just go live your life. Get on a bicycle. Take walks. Take hikes. Go to the library. My God. I realize that the internet has taken the place of the library for a lot of people. And if you know specifically what you're looking for, you can get to a lot of information. But you got to be careful, because a lot of the search engines figure out what it is they think you want to see, and so that's all they give you. Go to the library and just start looking around. Learn to use the card catalog. Mother had us growing up going to the library, and I worked in the library when I was in high school. On my free period, I worked in the library, and I loved it. A library is if you're curious, a library is a wonderful place to hang out. Anyway. Spring is here. Spring is here. Spring is here. It's a beautiful time of year. Go out and enjoy it.